All right. Hey, guys. Ryan Dunford here. We'll go ahead and get started in a little bit after we see some viewers pop on here and go from there. So we'll give it a few minutes and get some viewers showing up here. And any questions that you guys have that hopefully I can try to answer for you, make sure you put on the lower right-hand side here. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Try to get this a little closer. And we'll just give it a minute here and get things going on. Hey guys, thank you for showing up. Of course, GJ is here, although you should be working. But we'll get started in just a couple of minutes, not even a couple of minutes, a couple of seconds here. Looks like most everybody's showing up pretty quickly. So, hey, Barry. I can't stay for a show, but wanted to say, oh, hey, thanks. Finally, I'm just so happy that this finally got announced so that I can actually answer people's questions. Hey, Bob. So for me, that's always the big thing. I hate not answering questions for people, and there's only so much that we can and can't answer. So we got over 100 people viewing, so we'll go ahead and get started here, guys. This isn't really super formal or anything, but as you guys saw, let me start out properly. My name is Ryan Dunford with TLR or Horizon. I'm one of the product developers here. I help on the 8 scale side with a bunch of other folks, and then I also do some low-C products, like my other product, the LaserNut car got announced today. So it's not often one developer has two fairly big products announcing in one day, but with everything that happened with COVID, all the timelines shuffled around. So make a bunch of different stuff, but really I love to just answer questions for folks and help out whoever I can. So we'll go ahead and go over the 8ight-XT. It's been the two large events so far, the Dirt Nitro Challenge and then the Psycho Nitro Blast, both a few months apart, mainly because of all the COVID occurrences. It TQ'd and got second with Dakota behind the wheel, the first race at DNC. We looked at some things, tried to make it a little bit easier to drive, figured out some things, minor things setup-wise, but really we made some changes on what the car would come with and put those in place for what would then be the Psycho Nitro Blast. Dakota got the latest setup, latest car updates, and then went out and TQ'd and won Psycho Nitro Blast. So, I mean, I can't say enough about Dakota. I would say that kid, but he's not a kid anymore. We've all kind of gotten a little older. My gray's starting to come out. You can see here reflecting. But he's just a good person. Him and his wife, Chloe, great people. And he's just really fast, man. When he's on, he's on. But it certainly helps to have a good car, good truck, good equipment, whatever he's running. So in this case, hopefully we've tried to give him what he wants and then what all of the rest of us will want. So you guys saw the announcement today. I wanted to go over a couple big things that are going to come up pretty quick here. So first and foremost, I'm going to take the lid off of body off of what is the photo sample car that I got back. So I basically sent them the truck in Nitro form with a center chassis build up in truggy form, and I got it back in truggy form because they took all the Nitro pictures and then switched it over. So as you can see, two of the same bodies. For those of you, it will come like this in the kit. So it'll come cut out just as you see here. And then for the Nitro guys, you'll need to cut the head opening, fuel opening, and then whatever you need for the exhaust. So you'll need to do, big opening, side opening here, although I didn't do it on the photo car. We never do. And then the exhaust. Whoops, can't go the wrong way. Here. So this is the first time we've ever released a kit that you can kind of build however you want. we had a lot of people that like Nitro truggy, but it's still a second class. And then a lot of people that wanted e-truggy, but that's sort of a second class. It's a second class in some areas of the United States, or a third class for some other folks. And so we were trying to think about the numbers and how to make all of it work. And what we decided to do was just kind of include everything in one box. So you can build it either way. So you can't build both. That'd be great. Talk about a value. But you can build it either way. So you can build it as a Nitro truggy, or you can build it as an e-truggy. And we did that at what we feel is a price to the market that's incredibly fair. So all the truggies that are out there that have come out in the last 6-8 months are all $6.99 and up. So we left ours at $6.99, which we feel will be about the bottom end of the truggy world price-wise. But we give you everything in the box. So this is the truggy right here. So it will come with the black towers. You saw those first black with the silver edges. You saw those first in the Elite cars, so the 8X Elite. And then the front gearbox and the front A and B block are the same as the 8X, width-wise, same part numbers. The gearing inside the gearboxes is different. We've changed the ring and pinion in both the front and rear gearboxes, so that you can essentially only have to carry one set of a spur and pinion or clutch bell. So now the truggy uses 13-tooth clutch bell and a 48-tooth spur gear, just like our buggy does. So it helps cut down on the amount of parts you guys have to carry, if you choose to carry them, or the amount of parts that a shop has to carry. With kind of the advances in gearing for the transmissions, we were able to get the new internal gearing to hold really well, and do well there. So same parts here, same sway bar setup, same bumper. The rod ends are the same, but the truck does come with the new gray HD rod ends rather than the black rod ends. The spindle and carrier are the same as the buggy. So the arm is new. The shock body is a new body, but it uses the rear buggy shock shaft. So again, trying to make it so you carry less parts, of course, with it working properly. So it's the rear buggy shock shaft that you use in the front. All the steering parts are all the same. The layout is identical on the Nitro side. Okay. So here's the Nitro chassis setup, right? I have the boxes out because it's in the e-truggy photo car right now. But from here forward, it's identical with the exception of the tank, obviously, to the buggy. So that way you can carry all the same parts. And it also brings all the weight forward. So the truck steers a lot better, and you can just get a much better balance to the vehicle. It makes it easier for starter box purposes, things like that. But yeah, same side guards or mud guards, whatever you want to call them, all the same parts, same radio tray setup, same engine mount. So any of the option parts that work on the buggy, like the carbon fiber center mount here, or the one-piece engine mount, all of those will work as well. It uses the Nitro buggy front mount or front chassis chassis brace. It's been a rough day, but it does have a new, obviously much longer rear chassis brace, guys. And then as far as this goes, the truck does not come with wheels. All right. In the past, sometimes we'd include wheels, but now all the wheels are kind of specific to the tire manufacturers. So we left those out. It's one of the things that helped us put all of the e-truggy parts in. But on the e-truggy side, coming through the center of the chassis, we've got a new battery ESC tray where we took and moved the ESC more inboard. The battery tray is well big enough to hold any 4S, and some of the folks that'll be out there that might want to change to a 6S setup for bashing or whatnot, you probably put that in there just fine. But it still stays with the same mud guards. It's the same chassis for both. The chassis just has all the holes you need for both. It does have a new rear center drive shaft for both cars. It's the same one, obviously, for both. And then it's got a full new center diff setup for the truggy side that is split. So it's the same 4 screws that come out to pull your diff out. But the motor mount is not like the XE. It's more similar to some of our older mounts where we run it off of this, basically the rear mount for the diff, but we did split it. And it screws in from both sides. Now you can use an L wrench from the bottom to get to that, or some people just use a body reamer and put a little hole in the guard here so you can get up and tighten and loosen and adjust your gear mesh. But it's a very user-friendly approach to mounting a electric motor into an 8-scale vehicle. It's more cost-effective. It's just easier for people. The other one was a great idea. It holds it very sturdy, but some people were having trouble with lining it up properly or knowing which O-ring to use or whatnot. So for this car, we went away from that. Plus the size of the holes and everything that were needed over here, it didn't work for the combo pack, so to speak. So like right now, this has, on the Tekin side, this would be an RX-8, and then their 2000 kV truggy motor. It's a little bit longer than their buggy motors. This is what I did my testing with and worked awesome. So for what it's worth, that's what I would recommend if it were me. And then coming around to the back side, you guys will notice there's a lot of new parts back here. So to get the pivot width that we needed a new rear gearbox. So it's got a new rear gearbox that mounts differently. So this gearbox will not bolt into your 8X, guys. I've had that question a lot. The bolt pattern for it's different in the chassis. The bolt pattern for the C&D block's different. The bolt pattern for the tower is different. The bolt pattern for the wing mount, which is also new, is different. So you'd have to make a lot of one-off parts to try to make it work in there. But as far as the offset, this is offset the same amount as the front. They're both about, I think it's 1.8 millimeters. Might be 1.6. It's been a while since I had that in my brain. But it's a much more centralized, much narrower gearbox. I don't have one sitting here. I could try to find one later if people want to hang out and see it. But so it's new C&D blocks to get the roll center and the pivot width proper for the truggy. New rear tower, new rear shock. The truggy does come with 3.5 mil shock shafts. So instead of 4, the 3.5s with the body protection seem to be really good. It does come with a new wing mount that's adjustable. You can adjust the height and the forward-backward. The height of the wing is essentially +5 from where we historically were and +10, so you don't have to use a spacer. And then it's all the way forward and back. I think it's 5 millimeters as well. But the upper rear brace is different here. And then, of course, it's got new arms. It does come with universals all the way around, which is one of the changes we made between the Nitro Challenge and Psycho Nitro Blast that really helped the truck. Universals do take a little bit longer to break in, so it's probably going to take you a quart of fuel on the truck to break the drive shafts in properly. And then, of course, we've got new front and rear springs. But I mean, again, the biggest thing is you can build it nitro or electric. We tried to make all of the right new parts for this to make it work very, very well with being able to keep as many of the same parts in your box as possible. So you don't have to carry as much. Your cost of ownership comes down. for what it's worth, we've all been running the aluminum rib and all been running the 3rd screw in our engine mount, okay? Which on the buggy people play with. We've got the carbon rib, and some people either cut off or just remove that screw. On the truggy, we haven't found that necessary at all. We did a lot of little things, like we updated the nipple on the fuel tank to a nipple that's a little longer that grabs the fuel line a lot better. There are things like the springs are going to be sold in packs. So this is a spring pack. So there's only 3 front springs and 3 rear for now. If we happen to find more, then we'll deal with that. But that way it keeps the cost of ownership down. You buy 1 set of springs and you're good to go. Let me try to see if there's what questions have popped up yet, guys, and then we'll continue along. Hey, Gareth. And yeah, I know, guys, finally. COVID kind of affected things. I mean, it probably would have been done sooner, but, you know, it is what it is. Hey, Mike. Hey, Jesse. We will do a build video on this, guys, at least to the Nitro version. I'll do a build video probably in 2 to 3 weeks so that it pretty much finishes up as we're shipping the truggies to you guys. That way, if you want, you can follow along and build it with me. But that'll probably be, I'll probably start it in 2 weeks. Right now, the trucks are scheduled to ship the last Thursday of the month, but sometimes stuff comes in sooner. I can hope. Hey, Brad. Let's see if there's any questions here. Whoops. RTR to come with this and shock fluids. We have looked onto the RTR side of things. Our RTR cars are a little bit older, so we are looking at RTRs right now and seeing if we might want to update those. But yeah, I mean, we are always looking at stuff, guys. So hopefully soon. As far as the truggy goes, a lot of people I've let drive my truggy. Most people don't like my radio setup, I'll be honest, and they still like the truggy, even though they hate my radio. I use a really, really loose steering wheel, and a lot of people can't ever fill center with it, and they don't like that. Justin asked here, are those cuts outlined on the body? No, they're not. And the reason for that is now with the shorter heads and with a lot of different diameter heads, and also make it so that when the guys run the e-truggy, they don't have to worry about that. The lines in there, we decided not to put the lines in there. But I mean, you pretty much cut the whole left window out, which is normal. You'll put a round circle in the top for your fuel gun, a little square in the front for the pool, and then the round in the back for the head. I would love, we thought about just having a Nitro body, clear body available separately, but until we get enough draw for that, right now we won't. Let's see here. When is this coming out? It is supposed to be out at least by the end of the month. As soon as they come in and we pass QC, I mean, we'll ship them. So we're not going to wait on them or hold them or anything. Obviously, we only order so many, guys. So, I mean, if you are really interested in it, please make sure that you put your orders in so that you can get one out of this first shipment. Because with as long as the first shipment took, if we ordered a second shipment, which we already actually have, a second shipment's 3 to 4 months out. So if you don't get it now, you're pretty much probably not going to get it until earliest Christmas. So is a dual Nitro E package something you might consider moving forward? Well, this has a dual package, so can you use the truggy wing mount on the buggy? Lucas asked this. No, you cannot. It does not work on the buggy. It just, the mount is different. Mike, right now, all the team guys are using our spring. I can't imagine them wanting a lower frequency spring on this, which is usually what the Mugans run. And in all fairness, even on the buggy these days, a lot of people are running our Evo spring versus the Mugen spring, but it just depends. Philo, let me grab, I happen to have one handy here. So the rear ring gear, to get everything to roll the right way, does have to be obviously offset too, kind of like our old one was. But this one, with everything we learned on the 8X, we tried to get that involved in the 8XT. You can see the ring gear comes basically as light as we were willing to go before sacrificing structural integrity. I mean, I guess you might be able to take another gram or so out of this if you really went crazy, but that's just not where we're willing to go. But we did, it does come all hogged out, so it is as light as possible. Let's see here. The shafts, the shock shafts, I don't know which shafts. So Soleil asked, the shafts are the same or different front and rear. So that could either be the shock shafts, which those are different front and rear. The rear are longer than the front. The drive shafts are the same front and rear, just like on the buggy with the universal. The drive shafts are the same front and rear, so you only have to carry one set of spares there. How close is the handling compared to the Buggy X? So I would say the handling on the truggy, I've driven a lot of the recent truggies out there, and I would say any given day, it's probably one of the top two. Most days is probably the best as far as for us, what I call myself, which is a common folk. I just get more practice than most. It's really, really easy to drive fast and not feel like it's out of control. And that's one thing that we worked on a lot with the truggy, because it's something people have been asking. That's what we've been working on. Like the latest setup I put out for my buggy, the purpose of that setup is so that people could drive it easier, faster. And that setup was something that kind of came after some of the stuff I learned from the truggy. So the truggy is very, very good as far as I'm concerned. Like very, very good. The 8X was good. This is very, very good. And you know, we're always working on stuff. When I can get a buggy to drive like my truggy, I'll be set. Because then I can get a truggy to drive like a fifth scale and we'll be good to go. Let's see here. Does the 4.0 body work on 8XT? With a considerable amount of modification. So the engine is much further forward. So you literally have to cut the engine hole way further into the cab. And then you have to modify where the body mounts and cut off the back of the body, because this body is a little shorter because of where it mounts and everything. Not using HP springs. We have specific springs for this. Okay. Oh, sorry. I meant dual Nitro E package for future iterations. So far, the reception to this thought that we had, and something we wanted to try with this being Nitro and electric in one box, the reception's been great. It'd be one thing if we put them both in the box and we try to charge $850. I mean, $100 over the highest. I mean, the most expensive truggy out there right now that I could find was like $779. And I was raised on a budget. I don't work that way. So the only way I was willing to do this was if we could get the price competitive with our competitors. And I feel we've done that and provided a product that works really, really good in both forms. Isn't like, oh, this is an afterthought over here. No, it's not. We moved stuff around. We made it how it was. We made it easier to use. So have we thought about this now on the buggy side? We have. I mean, we'll see. We're always working on new stuff and going to continue to work on new stuff. So we'll see. Carbon fiber center diff brakes work on the truggy from the Elite. Brad, yes. Yeah, it does. It uses all the same centers. So these are all metric screws, Mick, in this now. So now our entire 8 scale line is metric. So if I have an 8X Elite Nitro chassis, the new electric motor mount will work. Matt Miller. Okay, so this is a good time to answer this. The new motor mount is set up to work on the Nitro mounting. So the new motor mount will work on a Nitro chassis. So the 8X Elite standard or -3 chassis, yes, it will work on that. It will not work on the 8XE chassis because the mounting is different. It's narrower on one end. Actually, it's narrower on both ends, but you can barely tell on the one side. So it won't work on that chassis. But I'm glad somebody asked because I was going to forget to talk about it. Does it use the same starter box as the buggy? Yes, same starter box. You have to move back for the truggy, and then you move it forward for the buggy. So, okay, Omar, HD center. Okay, so this is the first vehicle I've had the ability to go through and kind of change some of, so like the rear diff gear that I showed, you know, we were able to lighten that up as much as we thought we could and actually ship it that way. It does come with the HD center diff case. It does come with the HD rod ends, the gray rod ends. It does come with the aluminum diff pins for all 3 diffs. So the things that we've learned that really help the buggy, this comes with as far as the truggy goes. Everything we learned from the buggy and have learned up until this point went into the truggy and then some. So it is a very big step in the right direction. Let's see. Didn't look like Dakota ran aluminum rear hubs that I could tell. Future testing in the works. I'm not sure I understand the future testing part, but Dakota ran the stock plastic hubs. The truck we run in the A position or the down position. And in that position, we really haven't seen any issues with them. I've seen sometimes when people are running them in the B position or the upper position. I've seen some that can hit properly and manage to crack or kind of splay the holes apart. And something I'm looking at to try to make a little stronger in the future, because I don't like to let stuff sit. If something breaks and I don't think it should break, I mean, yeah, if you hit something hard enough, you're going to break anything, right? But yeah, he's just running the stock plastic hub. On the buggy, we're running the aluminum hub because we like the buggy in the middle position, and the plastic hub you can't run in the middle. So that's why we run the aluminum hubs on the buggy, because we're running the middle position with the universal. Any other questions here? Can I get your latest starting setup for the 8X Elite? It is posted on my current Facebook page, my personal one. I am going to try to get it posted onto the TLR page. They've been doing a lot of work on the Horizon site, so our web team's been really, really impacted with the new version of HorizonHobby.com. So now they kind of got that launched. I can get some of the newer setups onto the TLR page. But let me just go through my notes to make sure, because there were a couple things. So I talked about the gearbox not fitting. I got all that stuff. I do want to point out that there are some truggy specific option parts already available and actually already shipping. So one thing that's shipping already, and I like carbon on my 4.0. I haven't tried them yet on the 8XT because I just finally got the front one that had the mill out for testing. So I'm going to put these on and try them. So these are available already, front and rear carbon towers. And just so you know, the front carbon tower is 12.6 grams lighter. And the rear is 19.8 lighter. So if you ran both, you're saving a little over 32 grams. But those are available already. And then I've only got a rear one here because I couldn't find my front ones fast enough. But we do have carbon fiber front and rear arm stiffeners already in as well. So you can search those up. Justin, will the rear aluminum 8X hub? Yep. Yeah, the rear hub's the same on both. The rear spindle and carrier are the same. So if you like the aluminum carriers, those will work on the truggy. We are running 17.5 degrees on the truggy. So that's no problem. What else do I have over here? I think that's all the things I really kind of meant to show you guys. I don't want to go on and kind of drum on forever. This isn't really a build video or anything. This is really just kind of a, hey, I wanted to show you guys what exists. But, you know, like this is what I built. This is how I tested the e-truggy, right? So here's my e-truggy chassis. It literally is ready to go. So 5 screws in the back and 8 screws in the front, and I can literally change my Nitro truggy to an electric truggy. And then I just bind it to this model because I've got a different receiver in the receiver box, plug in a battery. I literally could run Nitro and electric in the same event with about a 5-minute switch between if I really wanted to. But just so you guys can understand how easy some of this stuff is, can I convert my X buggy to electric using the truggy electric parts? Ryan, sort of. I played around with that to try to get an answer to that question. So the answer is yes and no. So you can put the engine, the motor mount in. Obviously, you already have the servo mounted in there. The big thing is the battery. So the battery tray, 2 holes exist that you can fit the battery tray into. If it were up to me, you drill a 3rd. So let me show you, because I was trying to figure out, because I know these questions are kind of coming sometimes. So you can see here, this is your front pipe mount screw. This is your tank mount screw. Both those screws are in the chassis today, right? So those 2 screws are used for the battery tray, but this screw is not in the electric or in the Nitro car or the electric car. So in order to use the tray from the truggy, you have to drill and put this hole in your chassis so that the tray fits in there, guys. And the end of the tray does lift things up a little bit. So at a minimum, you have to use really short batteries. There's Wild, yeah, he actually probably wanted out, and then I couldn't let him out. That's Bud. Let's see here. Taper or standard 5 holes or something else. Can I convert? Chris, I just see tapered or standard 5 hole or something else. So if you're talking about the buggy, the latest buggy setup uses a tapered 5-hole piston. The truggy uses a tapered 6-hole piston today, and it comes with them. So, that is one thing I wanted to go over. The setup. So there's like 5 of us running the truggy so far. And there's only one thing that we've kind of changed along the way. So the setup that we're running on the car is essentially the setup you build. It's more or less the kit setup. The only difference is, so it's got a 6x1.3 piston in the front and rear. In the front, we take 1 hole of each and drill it to a 1.4. And in the back, we drill it to a 1.5. And then the only other difference, like Dakota ran, is at DNC he had 4K in the back, but at PNB he went up to 5K, which is what's in the kit. But he runs his front inner camber link one lower, so he gets a little bit more rotation. And he runs the whole car 1 millimeter higher because the J Concepts truggy tire is slightly taller than the Proline truggy tires that I run. But other than that, everybody ran the same exact setup. Everybody at DNC was on the same setup, although there was only a couple of us. It was myself, Anthony, and Dakota, obviously. I think that's all we had going. And then, but at Psycho Nitro Blast, there was 5 guys running it. But let's see. As far as this goes, we use the same 36 millimeter droop block for the truggy as we do the buggy. So setup sheets, how do you convert 36 millimeter droop to, say, calibers? We don't. You need 36 millimeter droop blocks, guys. So the whole purpose of a droop block is this, okay? Let's say your shock, here's a droop block, right? But let's say your shock is this long, here to here, right? But the arm's nice and straight. That's going to have droop over here, right? But if the arm's fatigued or you hit something good or whatnot, the arm might come up like this. Well, now this same shock length will get you, what is that? Probably 5 millimeters different droop. And that's kind of the reason we use a droop block now. So the droop blocks and setting droop that way takes away any type of chassis tweak, arm twist, arm fatigue, new arms. So now your brand new car, other than drive shafts having to break in, will now work the same as your old car, because your old car, you've kept messing with the droop so long. For some reason, everybody starts with a little bit of droop, but they keep adding and adding and adding droop. Well, that's because their arms keep bowing and bowing and bowing more. So to get the droop back down to the same, well, then they build their new car and they put that same long old droop in, and now their arms are, really, really drooped out, right? So that's why we use the droop blocks. We released the droop blocks. You can buy them from TLR or a number of other sources nowadays. But I recommend using a droop block to set that. It's the only way you're going to get your cars. And I check my droop now before I go out. My droop and my ride height is pretty much checked every single time I go out. So truggy shock pistons are a 6x1.3 taper. We are releasing those pistons, obviously, with it. I wish we could sell pre-painted bodies. I loved pre-painted bodies when I was testing before, because then I could just order a pre-painted one. It fit the car, and I could go beat up on it. When it wore out, I could just order a new painted one. But until we have RTR vehicles on the X line, you won't see anything that comes pre-decorated or pre-painted. But yeah, I mean, I just want to go back. I mean, the setup guys, the diff oils, the shock oils, basically everything that comes in the kit is how we run the car. We do put, obviously, some of the option parts on. We like to run the carbon fiber brake servo mount, or throttle servo mount, I guess I should say, because it keeps it cooler. We like to run the aluminum caster blocks because they're stronger and they're very free. And then, I mean, that's kind of about it. I mean, some of us run the aluminum servo saver top, but you don't even have to run this. This makes it feel a little bit more precise. We used to run this on the 4.0 because it would always break. This one, the plastic one on the X, doesn't break. But this being so much more sturdy, it just makes the steering feel more precise, especially on the truggy. You guys are all running universals in the rear. What's that do versus the adjustable CVAs? So a universal will tend to make it so that you can drive on power better through bumps. So, and it usually provides more grip, assuming they break in. So this is I'm gonna try to end this within the next 5 minutes, guys. So if you have any last minute questions, because these are other questions, but I'll answer anything. Everybody knows that about me. A universal, assuming it's broken, the tires and everything will have a tendency to be able to continue to move and push pressure down as you're picking up the throttle, whereas a CVA has a tendency to want to lock straight as you're picking up the throttle. CVAs tend to work really, really well on smooth tracks or tracks with a ton of grip, Astro, things like that. So we have the CVAs as an option for the buggy. We technically won't have them for the truggy. The truggy only uses the universals, at least at this time. We just felt all around we've had much, much better luck with the universals on the truggy with our testing. So when can we put in an order for this kit? You can order it already. It's up on horizonhobby.com, or you can get it from your local hobby shop. They can order it for you and get an order in today. Alex Vaughn, no square pill blocks. Nope, not yet. We've looked at that a number of times, and square pills, for some reason with the 8 scale folks, it tends to get more confusing. I'm not really sure why, but it's something I'm interested in and something hopefully we can put into future 8 scale TLR cars. I'm not going to do it unless it's as strong as what we have today. That's my big thing, is the cars need to survive, at least me, which can be a lot. I know nobody's been a pain in the rear, but it doesn't mean I can't rib you guys back, because you guys get to rib me. So does the 8X Elite have metric or American hardware? It's all metric. But again, I will do a build video. You guys can think of your questions by, in the next couple of weeks. Either shoot them to me one way or another through Messenger or whatnot. I'll answer anything today for you at any time. And yeah, I mean, so again, we've got all new arms, all new shock towers, different length shocks. It does use the 8X front gearbox. It's a new rear gearbox, a new rear wing mount. We've got our IFMAR wing on the back of it, got new springs. Obviously, the turnbuckles are longer and the chassis is different. So we try to do it in as few parts as possible so that you guys don't have to carry as much, but the parts that are right for the car. So, but it works very, very well, lands well. It's got a lot of forward drive. It's got great rotation. It's got great rear grip. With my 4.0 truggy, I always kind of had to choose between rotation and grip. And most of us for speed would choose the rotation. And so then you could do a bunch of fast laps, but then you'd usually have one that was kind of haywire because of the rear grip. So this, you have both. And I know everybody's like, oh, Dakota could drive anything. He can. He could drive a shoebox. That that young adult, turning into a great person. He can drive just about anything, but you give him something that is at the sharp end of the knife, and he's just gonna dominate with it. And so far, he's 2 races in and doing very well with it, and hopefully, he'll be able to continue to do so. But I'm going to go ahead and end this, guys. Again, this was the 8XT. Hopefully, you guys, I know it's been a long wait. Hopefully, you guys get it in your hands soon, and you can ask all your questions that you want once you build it and once you start running it. But we look forward to seeing everybody at the tracks. I know I do, but stay safe out there, guys. And remember, this is a hobby. Let's go out there. Let's support each other. Let's have fun. And let's just make it better every single time you're out there for everybody. Okay, guys? But take care.